Respected Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Durga Shankar Mishra, sir, dear Shauvik, dear Sudhir Gautam. Sir, it is a proud privilege for us, for the entire Trivandrum Smart City and the APEC Sustainable and Smart City Conclave, that you are inaugurating the second day of the address, sir. Sir, you have been an inspiration for young officers like me and many other officers, especially working in the urban sector, sir. Sir, you are an electrical engineer from IIT Kanpur, sir. I believe so. I am also your junior, sir, in IIT Chennai. I have done my computer engineering there, and so always look up to technocrats in administration. We always remember names like you when delivering, sir. And firstly, sir, in the smart cities project, I've been working for last 2.5 years. So I think it is to your ultimate credit that the scheme has been delivered in such a way that it gives so much clarity, focus, and also innovation for implementing the project like smart cities, sir. I think we have been always working as rural development for years, but coming recently, so much focus has been given on urban development. It's a learning experience for us, sir, and the project guidelines which you have formulated are extremely helpful for people on the ground as well, sir. So thank you very much, sir. I will not take much time of you. So thank you very much. I would like to follow your footsteps, sir, in future also. Namaste, sir.
With this, let us all welcome Sri Durga Shankar Mishra, Honorable Secretary Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. Over to you, Sri Durga Shankar Mishra. He'll be delivering the keynote address for the inaugural of the second day of APEC Smart and Sustainable City Conclave.
A very good morning to everybody. Savik Goswami, Bala Kiran, and all those who have joined today's conclave on the smart and sustainable city. At the outset, let me first thank you. I mean, APAC has been doing a good job organizing this kind of a conclave, such kind of a engagement with the city managers, with those who are working for the cities from the consulting organizations, from the various other organizations who are taking up various kinds of activities in the smart cities and cities otherwise, which are not smart, but they are trying to become smart. So, my heartiest congratulations to you for keeping this continuous series of your conclave on smart and sustainable cities. Well, before I start, let me first congratulate Bala. I mean, I think after you have taken over as CEO of Trivandrum, there has been a tremendous progress. I mean, now only day after tomorrow, Honorable Prime Minister is going to lay foundation of the Integrated Command and Control Center in Trivandrum. He is also going to lay foundation of almost 400 plus crores project for smart roads in the city of Trivandrum, and I'm sure this is going to make a big difference to the city of Trivandrum and to those who are living there, the citizens. Ultimately, the smart cities, I mean, this was the vision of Honorable Prime Minister when he started from 2014 onwards. He started mentioning that we would like to select 100 cities to be smart cities. And when my ministry started working on it, we were quite confused. We didn't know what the smart city is and what is the expectation. But ultimately, after so much of consultation from those from the outside country and also within the country who have been pursuing this kind of a smart city concept, we came out with a framework, and that framework was ultimately delivered through the launch of a smart city mission on 25th June 2015. While inaugurating this, the Honorable Prime Minister made the whole thing, I mean the whole concept of a smart city in just 3-4 words. What is a smartness? It is basically to get more from less. After the resources are limited and our population is so much, we need to address the issues of the citizens. The way the country is urbanizing, I mean, our population in 2011 census in the urban area was only 31+%, which was around 37-38 crores. But the projections are that by 2051, not much, just 3 decades from now, the total population living in the urban area is going to be 87 to 88 crores, which is more than the double of the population today. Think of it, the way our cities have been growing. If they continue growing like that, if there is sprawls, if there is no planned development, if there is no stock taking of the resources which you are utilizing, the life is going to become difficult and difficult for the urbanites. And after all, the urban areas is the world experience. I mean, urban areas are there where people congregate and different kinds of the potential, different kinds of the capacities, capabilities of the people, they get synergized and they get translated into rapid economic activities, whether it is manufacturing, service sector, or any kind of economic activities which will improve our economic worth, which will improve our living. So if the people have to come to the urban areas and they have to lead a difficult life, whether it is the first thing he encounters is the condition of living, where he is living, whether he is living in a slum area, in an unorganized area, in the informal settlements, or he is living in a proper dignified area where he is able to achieve all his potentials. He may be artist, he may be scientist, he may be engineer, he could be anything. He could be a sports person, I mean literary person, whatever he is he able to realize his potential? Is he able to give the best to his family, whether in terms of education, health, entertainment, anything which is required for anybody's upbringing? So things were looking very, very difficult. And then came the smart cities. And the smart city was basically, this is one scheme which was conceived in a entirely, it's completely changed the development paradigm. Where a young officer like Bala Kiran, I mean, sometimes I envy these young officers. Why such an opportunity was not given to us when we were young? We didn't have this kind of a opportunity where you could experiment and you could come out with anything which will improve the quality of life. As long as we are clear about the three basic parameters, the smart cities are here to improve the quality of life of the citizens, improve that is livability. The second is it improves the economic ability. That means the livelihood opportunity, the economic activities, they will grow. They will, through the synergy, through the processes, through the improvement in the, scaling, improvement in the whole business of whatever economic activity the city undertakes. For example, the city of Trivandrum, I mean, you may be expert in a particular activity. Can you take it to the further level? And what is that you can do to take it to the further level? So that's what a smart city is. And then the sustainability. The cities die like human beings. I mean, cities deteriorate. Cities. I mean, you have seen. I mean, the plenty of cities. A lot of examples you'll get where just because you were not very conscious of the sustainability, whether it is the economic sustainability, whether it is environmental sustainability, whether it is the social sustainability, cultural sustainability, whatever it is, the cities decay. So how can you make your living sustainable? So this sustainability is a very, very important ingredient in the smart cities. And now the question is, why only 100? 100 because these are the lighthouses, these are the laboratories. I mean, you don't produce crystals everywhere in every laboratory, but you just at one place, once you have experimented and you've seen that such and such combination of the chemical elements will create this kind of a crystal, then the same thing can be replicated elsewhere at many other places. So what is the learning of Bala in Trivandrum is equally valid for Calicut. It is equally valid for any other cities in the state of Tamil Nadu, in the state of Kerala, or in the adjoining state of Tamil Nadu, or any other place. Can this learning be translated further? Can this be taken to the other cities? That is the big challenge. Because people started seeing, I mean, seeing the success of the smart cities, people started mentioning that kindly declare my city also as a smart city. You declare, you take this my city also as a smart city. How many cities, I mean, how many laboratories you can create? You can't create every place where you will keep on experimenting. Then you are only experimenting and not producing results. Whatever is the experience of one smart city, can that smart city take the leadership? Let me give an example. The COVID-19, I mean, we have just gone through the experience of COVID-19 for the last 1 year. I think a smart city took the leadership. All the smart cities across the country, they took such steps which were replicated in other cities. Whether it is in terms of the sanitation practices, whether it is taking the various kinds of welfare measures, whether contacting with the doctors, or I mean uh, getting those who need some help and those who are providing that help, connecting them, I mean various kinds of things using the IT platform, using such smart moves, they were able to prove that they are really smart. And whatever they did at one place was replicated in other places, even though it was, I mean, they were not declared as a smart city. Smart cities have proved that their education, I mean the e-education, where I mean you don't have, the teacher need not be there. I mean the lot of teaching can be passed on. It's basically the pedagogy of I mean passing certain kind of a structured thinking, structured way of attending certain things. Can that be done using the this platform? A lot of new things have come up. So it's like using the solar energy, renewable energy, for the sanitation practices. I mean, whatever has come to the smart city, their learning, can that be translated to other places? For example, I mean, the city of Trivandrum, now they are going for smart roads. What is a smart road? A smart road is a road which has a, normally you see, you construct a road and next year you cut that road. You cut that road for example, you have to lay certain, say, say some fiber is to be laid, some electric line is to be laid, some telephone line is, I mean, whatever it is, whether for various purposes, you keep cutting that road. Or you find the road looks ugly. There is no space for the people. I mean, ultimately, the roads are made for the people, and the people, they don't have a place where they can walk and walk safely, or they can cycle and cycle safely. So for this, the smart road is going to address the issues of the people, because the road has to be people friendly. People can walk, people can cycle, people can experience, they can sit, they can rejoice, they can relax, they can, I mean, there'll be places where they can just relax. So such things are not there. Once this a smart city, a smart road comes up in Trivandrum, can that example not be replicated in other places? Trivandrum itself is going to expand. The next door city is going to expand. There is going to be a lot of new development, because I said we are what today, I mean the total population is around 40 crore. We are going to add another 45 to 47 crore in next 3 decades. So can the development of the next say 45 to 47 crores coming up in the next 3 decades, can that not be smarter? It can be, because here is an experience. When you are going to make a new road, that new road itself should be smart. Whereas what Bala is doing is, I mean, making a road which is brownfield, which is existing road, into a smart. The cities also have a life. I mean, there are many places they need to be redeveloped. When you are doing the redevelopment, can the redevelopment area not have the smart road? I mean, when they use the electricity, so the electricity, they go for the LED lights, and the LED light, the light need not have the same kind of intensity throughout the night. All the, say, 12 hours, the same intensity is not required. If they do this, the kind of energy uses, the kind of energy savings which is making, can that not be used for other places? So all that learning, whether it is road or whether it is water, I mean water, we find just yesterday I launched a Pejal Sarvekhan. I mean, you might have heard about the Swachh Sarvekhan. The Swachh Sarvekhan has been a tremendous success. We are now having the 6th version of the Swachh Sarvekhan coming up the year 2021. I mean, starting from 1st of March, the on ground, otherwise the activity is year round. So on the basis, on our learning of the Swachh Sarvekhan, now we have launched just yesterday a pilot for Pejal Sarvekhan. What is Pejal Sarvekhan? Pejal Sarvekhan is basically a city like Trivandrum. I'm just giving all these examples from Trivandrum because people appreciate this. The city of Trivandrum has got limited resources of water, and the population cannot live, they cannot survive unless they have adequate water. We require for all our activities, for whether it is for drinking, for food, for, I mean, various activities, we require water. There is a minimum water required. I mean, it is said if it is 24/7, you require around 90 to 95 liters per day. Otherwise, you will require, say, around 135 liters per day. You will be surprised that cities which has got availability of water even of 400 liters, they are not able to provide 24/7 water. Why? Because they're not managing water properly. You need to manage your water bodies from where from where you are getting the water, so that it does not recede. I mean, there are climatic changes. What is that you can do so that your water body remains as it is? Every year's rains. Then what is that you can do from their water body to the distribution system? On the way, there is so much of leakages because of technology, leakages because of bad use of, unskilled persons getting into this, leakages because people are not paying for the water. So what is that you can do so that your non-revenue water reduces? I mean, it is as high as 40 to 50%, somewhere even 60% in certain cities, and you have adequate water, yet people don't get enough water. So then, on the distribution part, I mean, are the people getting water from where they can drink from the tap? Why they have to go for RO? Why they have to go for the treatment? So can you have that kind of a good quality of water where people can use it? Then water gets converted to wastewater. Can that wastewater can you get some water out of it, utilize it for not for maybe for drinking purpose? You can do it for drinking purpose only. Only the other day, 3 days back, I was in the tertiary treatment plant in Chennai, Coimbatore, and there I drank that water. This water is of a better quality than what you get in a bottled water. So it is possible, but you can also use it for subsidiary uses, like for washing, for toilet cleaning, for say horticulture, for the industrial purposes, various purposes you can utilize that water. So this whole water cycle, if you make it smart, the city is going to survive. If you don't make it smart, maybe ultimately the city is going to lose. And this is the experience of the smart city. If they do it, may not be for the past, at least for those area where you are doing the redevelopment, at least for the area which is you are doing for the green development, you can follow those norms. That can be whatever is the learning of Bala from Trivandrum, or whatever may be the learning from Kochi, another smart city in the state of Kerala, that can be translated into the various kind of government instructions or various kinds of a capacity building for the other cities, and they can follow the same kind of practice. So this smartness is basically, I mean, and the one of the most important ingredient of a smart city, I mean, the learning of the smart city is engaging with the people. After all, we are doing for what? I mean, there is a Jan Gehl, I mean, a very famous urban planner from Copenhagen. I mean, he says the cities are for the people. Cities are not for me or for Bala or for maybe municipal mayor. I mean, who are administering the city. Cities are for the people. The cities need to address the issues of the people, and they can address the issues of the people only if they're sensitive to the people. Only if they get feedback from the people. There is a engagement with there is a practice of engaging with the people, and this kind of engagement has been the hallmark of our smart cities. I mean, the is a large number of every city contacted lakhs of population while they were drawing their smart city plan. The smart city plan was not done by some engineers or by some planners sitting in the room, but it was done through a very hardcore engagement with the people. They thought, well, this is our area, I mean, this is the area for our area development. We do a intensive development of this area and develop our learning so that we can translate the same thing in the other areas. Similarly, for the Pan City, again, they were engaged with, okay, these are the things. What is our priority? Our priority is to give 24/7 water supply. Our priority is to make sure that there is no places which are inundated while there is a huge rain, and then it starts getting inundated, and that causes so much of inconvenience to the public life. So what are our main challenges? What are our things which you would like to address? And address one, through the infrastructure, that is essential. Based infrastructure is very essential. But the two, a layer of electronics, a layer of IT system. This layer of IT system is going to make sure that you are able to make every drop of it or every bit of it used for the people. So there came the use of IoT, I mean, Internet of Things. There came the use of the machine learning. There came the use of automation. There came the uses of our artificial intelligence. All these, the latest, the big data, all these information, all these systems which have been developed are being used by our smart city in some way or the other. And a conclave like this, I mean, this gives you an opportunity for sharing such kind of thing. Maybe the city of Bhopal has done something from which Bala can learn, or Bala has done something from which the city of Indore can learn. Indore can learn something from which Chennai can learn. We have some kind of a co-working. I mean, all these smart cities, and then they start translating it to the other cities. So, in the latest directions I have given to the smart cities, you take the leadership, you become a regional leader, and make sure that not only you become smart, but the cities around you also become very, very smart. And if you find that the use of data, use of information, which is, I mean, helping you in dealing with things much more proficiently, much more effectively, can the same practice not be translated to the other? And it can be. I mean, the Bala will corroborate to this. I mean, his learning, I mean, he said 2.5 years he'll be there. So his learning as a CEO Smart City or the municipal commissioner, I mean, this learning can be translated very easily to the other places. I mean, I'm not asking you to translate to the other cities of the different state, maybe in your own state, because you're all governed by the same kind of a law, same kind of instructions, same kind of rules, like online building permission system. This is online building permission. What kind of ease you can get to the people when they don't have to come and just roam around in the municipal offices for getting their building permission granted. I mean, in these days when the technology is at core, which in fact COVID has, I mean, one of the biggest benefit I think is it has really shown the strength of IT. It has really shown the strength of this country across the globe, how we have used our potential. I mean, all that has been developed in the last 5 6 years in the IT field, how we have used, and the world has recognized this. So this is what a smart city. I mean, when you say the cities become sustainable, cities to become smart, it is nothing but making use of your resources in the most optimum manner, making use of resources in the, I mean, planned manner. You can plan your cities. The learning about mixed urban development, mixed planning. Can that learning not be translated to the other places? That is very much possible. That's very much possible. So I think, Souvik, I will request you that when you are in future, whenever you are doing a conclave like this, I mean, you can change the narrative, making all cities smart. I mean, that's what I mean. I've already prepared a document, and then my CEO's conference. I mean, I'm going to hold this CEO conference sometime in the month of March, and there I'm going to share that document with the cities. And this is our learning, because we are also in the learning curve. I mean, maybe but 3 years back, I was not so much abreast with all these intricacies of the smart city. And maybe 3 years from now, we will be far more, because as we keep on learning and learning from each other, So can that be translated into making all our cities smart? Yesterday only, I launched a platform. This platform I have called Technograhis. Technograhis are, I mean, you must have heard of Satyagrahis. Satyagrahis were the people who, I mean, made all the difference to our freedom struggle. And the Swachhagrahis were those who are, I mean, really made a difference in making the country clean. Now we have come up with a new word called Technograhi. And these are the Technograhi because you must have heard about the 6 places in the country, which is the city of Chennai in the southern India, Rajkot in the western India, Indore in central India, in Lucknow in the northern India, Ranchi in the eastern India, and Agartala in the northeastern India. They have come through the challenge, and they are implementing 6 different technologies which are not there in the country. 6 different technologies are, I mean, they have been identified through the Global Housing Technology Challenge. And it is, I mean, the only last week Saturday I was on the site in Chennai. You can't believe, just less than six weeks, just only on the 1st of January, Honorable Prime Minister laid foundation of all these 6 lighthouse projects. And the kind of progress you see there, you will see, say, eye opener. In 6 weeks, already 4 towers, The foundation has been laid. The work is, I mean, if you see my tweets, I've already tweeted the video and the side photographs, how things have started coming up. And the whole new factory kind of a thing is a temporary factory where you can see the roof is being, I mean, it is being casted, stairs are being casted, the various other components of the building are being casted, like the pillars, etc. And they will all go there, and this almost like 1150 houses will be constructed in less than 8 to 9 months. And the life of these houses, the executive agency told me, this is a technology coming from Finland. They say that the life they will guarantee for 100 years. When we make multi-story complex, we say the life is 30 to 40 years. You see the tenements in various cities, after 30 to 40 years, that is such a bad condition. He says guaranteed 100 years, and if you keep it well, it may remain for many more years. So longevity is more. The time taking, I mean, normally you construct such kind of a housing in normally 2.5 years to 3 years. You are constructing in less than 1 year. You are using less of water. You are not damaging the environment. I mean, the air quality is a very major issue. So we are not doing any damage to the environment. The whole thing is being constructed as a factory has been set up, and this factory can immediately supply. And the cost of, I mean, I just checked this for the affordable housing complexes, the cost per unit for Tamil Nadu in the traditional technology, and this one is cheaper than this. But also in future, as this technology progresses further, the cost is going to come down, because the factory, the more and more production is there, the less and less cost, the overall, I mean, the overhead costs are going to go down. It's only the, I mean, the this cost will be the specific material cost. So in that case, this is the technology for future. We have just, I mean, I launched a on our portal of the Housing for All, a very simple form that those who are interested, they may register themselves, they can enroll themselves, and then there's the beauty of the technology. I mean, why I'm quoting so in the smart city context. The beauty of technology is, like yesterday, I launched some e-newsletter about this program. Automatically, all our newsletters, all information, whenever we are going to webcast certain stages of this lighthouse project, they will be webcasted across the country, even across the globe, and anybody who has enrolled, they will be able to see this, how things are going on. They can also come and see, and we have devised a program, a 3-day program, where they can come and learn about the technology. We want to make this as our Indian technology. Such a thing was not possible. Such a thing was not possible had that smart move was not there. So smartness is nothing but to get more from less, and more from less for the service of the people, for the service of the citizens. So that's our learning on the smart cities. And when you start doing it, you will make the cities sustainable. You will make the cities smart. So our focus is, let's make all our 4,372 cities which are there, or many more which are going to come up in future, they should all become smart. And the learning comes from our specific smart cities, like say Trivandrum, we are holding this workshop. So by I mean, thanks to Bala for being the host, and he is taking this message of smartness and sustainability across the country. I'm sure he will take the leadership for his region, and he will take the pride of, well, I have made Calicut is smart, I have made various other cities of Kerala smart through my experience here in the city of Trivandrum. So I close it here. All the very best for the 3 days conclave which you are taking. 1 day is already over. I'm sure that another 2 days you will have a lot of good discussion and a lot of good learning, passing on to the various people who are engaged in making this country smart. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sri Durga Shankar Mishra, Honorable Secretary, Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, for not only giving a context of the smart city mission as a whole, but also talking about the intricacies of this mission. The beauty of this mission is that it talks about synergy. It talks about synergy about various aspects of urban transformation, and that's also visible in the concept note of smart city. If you can see that it talks about convergence, synergy, and also use of technology for that. And as you have said, Shri Durga Shankar Mishra will be documenting the outcome of this 3-day conference and will be presenting it to you and to your office, so that the deliberations made for these 3 days are documented and can be again used as a learning tool for other cities to become smart and smarter. Thank you so much for that.